Anybody else? I got someone on their motorcycle going by these houses. Welcome to Centralia, Pennsylvania. Or at least what remains. Because nearly every building in this ghost town has been bulldozed over, and even the once popular graffiti highway has been reduced to this. During COVID, piles and piles of dirt were dumped onto the highway to discourage visitors from spray painting it or exploring it. And police actually give a hefty fine to anyone who walks on the highway. But while the story of Centralia, a town that has literally been on fire for 62 years, is a tragedy in and of itself, it's also just an accelerated version of the many other once booming, now dying Pennsylvania coal mining towns in the region. Now, I'm gonna be meeting up with a local from a neighboring town, Mt Carmel, and he's gonna go more in depth about what used to be on each of these now empty plots in Centralia. And I'm also gonna visit a few of the surrounding towns, as well as a ghost town that's still standing, to try to get a taste of what life was like here before the residents were forced to leave. But here is the cemetery of Centralia, one of the last reminders that this town once existed. It's actually quite a large cemetery. Now, Centralia is located in the heart of Coal Region, Pennsylvania, which is just this absolutely gorgeous area in the Appalachian Mountains, but it's about 60 miles west of Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is gonna be the closest real city, 110 miles northwest of Philadelphia, and 240 miles west of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yes, Pennsylvania is a very big state, and Centralia is actually closer to Washington, D.C., which is only 180 miles away, than it is to Pittsburgh. Now, I initially thought about driving down this road as it is fully paved. You can tell a town used to be here, but I don't think my car would actually fit. To get a little into the history of Centralia, it was first settled in the 1850s after the railroad and 2 coal mines opened up in town. Oh, look at this. We have a lot of litter, a lot of trash. And I guess it's foreshadowing what devastated this town. But the town quickly grew in the latter half of the 19th century, reaching its peak population of 2,761 people by 1890, at which point there were 7 churches, 5 hotels, 27 saloons, 2 theaters, a bank, and 14 general stores to go along with at least a few hundred residences. So yes, if the road wasn't here, you would probably think I'm just in the middle of the woods, but there really used to be a full-fledged town here. I am now at the intersection of Park Street, which would have been one of the main streets in Centralia. I wonder what's at the end of there. Oh, is that I think that's a house. Yeah. But the town and its population remained steady until the 1940s, when the mines started to close as the demand for coal just wasn't there anymore. But in 1960, the population was still 1,435 people. By 1990, the population was just 63. And today, supposedly only 5 people still call Centralia home. So what happened? The Centralia Fire of 1962, aka the worst fire in US history that's expected to burn for another 230 years. To this day, nobody knows exactly what started the fire, but it's speculated that when the town burned a landfill that was located in an abandoned strip mine pit in 1962, that the fire was never fully extinguished, and thus it spread to many of the other abandoned coal mines underneath Centralia, leading to the city becoming hotter and hotter with smoke coming out of sinkholes and vents. But over here, yes, I don't know if this is a residence or a garage, but it is one of 5 or 6 buildings that is still standing, and there's a bunch of abandoned cars. Wow, look at that. All of the residences are still private, so I am not going to be entering the property of any of these residences. Going to allow them to have their peace. Yes, private property, no trespassing. But that is a look at one of the very few remaining buildings in Centralia. But directly in front of this building, we have a fallen tree, it looks like. Oh wow, that is not good. It's like on the telephone wire. I wonder if this happened recently, or if because only 5 people live in this town, maybe they just don't check on when maintenance is needed. But I'm coming up on Big Mine Run Road, which is still a fully paved street. I think it actually loops around to the town of Ashland, a couple miles south of here. We are going to be checking out Ashland later today as well, but it looks like another one of the few remaining structures. But while the residents were aware of the fire in the 1960s, Nothing about it was really done until 1981, when a 12-year-old boy fell into a 150-foot deep sinkhole that just appeared out of nowhere, and he barely survived. But that, along with many other sinkholes appearing in the area which contained lethal levels of carbon monoxide, led to Congress finally deciding that it was too dangerous to keep the town inhabited, allocating $42 million in 1984 to relocate the residents. Yeah, whoever this is, they are still maintaining their home. They are still getting in the Halloween spirit. Today is October the 7th. It is a cool morning, about 55 degrees. Yeah, it's actually a beautiful home. But the reason this house, as well as a few others, are still inhabited today is because a few residents wanted to stay even after Congress allocated all of those funds to move people. This led to the governor of Pennsylvania implementing eminent domain in 1992, evicting many of the remaining residents. And in 1997, the local post office closed. And in 2002, the zip code was decommissioned. Still, a few Centralians, including whoever lives in this house right behind me, refused to leave, leading to countless lawsuits, which eventually settled in 2013, allowing all of the remaining residents to live out the remainder of their lives in Centralia. But then after they die, the homes are going to return to the state and then be demolished. As you can see over here though, Mt Carmel is 4 miles to the west, Aristes is a mile north, Bloomsburg is 21 miles north. But continuing up Apple Alley from Big Mine Road, we have another one of the last remaining structures here in Centralia. There have only been 5 structures since 2013 here, and today, as of 2023 at least, only 5 people still live in the town. Yeah, maybe 15, 20 years ago when a lot of the old abandoned buildings were still standing, it would have had more of a quote-unquote ghost town vibe. But right now, it's not even really a ghost town. It's kind of like the next stage after ghost town. Just nothing. But yes, ironically, one of the last remaining buildings is the Centralia Fire Company. Who would have thought? A city that is literally burning from underground and will be on fire for the next 240 years or so. One of the only buildings that's left in town is a fire station. Now that plot of land behind the fire station says private property, no trespassing, even though there's nothing on it. I wonder if there used to be a home there and it was just demolished recently. But as I am now back at the main street in town, Nick just messaged me that he's arrived in Centralia at the church. So let's walk back to the car and meet him. And this is that fire station from the front. Municipal building. I'm not sure when this building was built. I'd imagine either around the time of the fire or after the fire. It doesn't look too old. The church that we were going to be heading to actually was built in 1911. But before we meet up with Nick, let's just show you guys that fire station from the other side of the road. If you didn't know a town used to be here, you would just think it's the highway. Nick, a Mt Carmel native, did you know anyone who actually lived in Centralia before they were evacuated?
Grandfather lived there. Stories I heard growing up, the town was bumping. It was a bumping mining town. A couple thousand people. And now there's only 3 houses and a fire company and no church left.
Growing up, did you ever come to Centralia?
Absolutely.
And were there a lot more buildings standing when you were a kid?
No. So long as I know, most of the buildings have been gone. Roads are overgrown. Most houses are gone. They tore them down just because of the fumes that would build up and blow. But it used to come out here during the weekends and you'd have smoke rising. You could put stuff in a crack and it would start charring, burning.
Oh, so there was a lot more steam back then?
Yeah, back then.
Okay.
Nowadays, it's not so much, but we might be able to find some.
What's your opinion on the government destroying all the old houses? Do you wish they were still here?
Not necessarily. They offered every person that lived here like $50,000 or more to move. Now, the people that are left here in Centralia, once they die, their kids can't move in there no more.
Yeah.
The government will rip those houses down.
So you were saying a lot of Mt Carmel's community came from Centralia.
Mt Carmel, and there's a little town right next to it called Denmark. They're pretty nice houses too, just because how much the government paid them to move out.
And here we have the Old Orthodox Church. So were you ever able to go inside this building?
Never. I don't even know if they have church anymore. Never seen people here. Honestly, the first time I'm walking right up to the doors.
Oh, really?
It's the creepy church that everyone talks about.
And so do you think this or any place in Centralia is haunted?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go check.
What's the craziest thing you've seen happen here?
Craziest thing I've seen happen here? We used to party out here and have kids come out in the middle of the night and we'd scare the shit out of them. Screaming from the distance.
Craziest thing was you.
Scream from the distance. Yeah, I believe it's haunted. I'm a big believer in ghosts. It's definitely creepy on a nice night.
And speaking of creepy, I'm currently editing this video at the only cafe in Puerto Williams, Chile, the southernmost town on earth. and literal end of civilization. I'll have a video depicting life in this incredibly remote settlement soon, but since I'm also no longer in the US, a lot of content I would usually access online is censored here. Deadwood, one of my favorite shows for example, is impossible to watch in Chile. Well, unless you get a VPN with Surfshark. Today's sponsor. Surfshark VPN is an app and browser extension which encrypts your internet activity, blocks ads and malware, and allows you to switch your IP address virtually to anywhere in the world. Plus, if you're someone like me who loves to travel, Surfshark can help you save money on flights, car rentals, and hotels by switching your location. And if you're still unsure about whether you want a VPN, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's really no risk to try it out. So what are you waiting for? Head over to surfshark.com/from-here-to-there or click the first link in the description and get an additional 4 months to your first plan for free. But now let's get back to the US and let Nick get back to showing me Centralia. So we're now in Nick's car. He's gonna take me to...
Go right down here below the church, where houses used to be.
Oh, so there were just houses right down here?
Yeah, we'll be able to find some old structural foundations of some houses.
Oh, it's right here is the old foundation?
Here's one foundation out the steps to a house at one point.
Oh, and now it's all overgrown. When you were a kid, was this empty?
Yep, all of this has been always. And if we park somewhere and we walk up into here, we'll find more houses, like remnants of houses.
Really?
Absolutely. These are old streets of Centralia. Unfortunately, people like to come out here and litter, though.
Yeah. So what was it like growing up in Mt Carmel in this part of the country?
Right now, in Mt Carmel, that's pretty boring sometimes. For the most part, we have like a 45-minute drive to any like nice populated area. Allentown, there's Sunbury, or we have Hazleton. Everybody's graffiti's
Yeah.
There's another house part.
Oh, yeah.
The wall.
Wow.
Give another couple weeks, you could have walked up in there when all this was completely dead and seen a lot more.
Was like the most fun thing you would do come to Centralia, or what was there to do for fun in Mt Carmel?
We would come out here sometimes at night and take fishing string, put it across the street, and tie soda cans onto telephone poles. Fish string would catch a person's antenna, and the cans would be like 40 feet behind them as they're driving down the road, and they would have no idea. It was some fun times back here.
Just wreaking havoc on the local population. And then so, does Mt Carmel have pretty much everything you need, or how often do you have to go to a city?
We pretty much have a Walmart, that's about it. Right here is the center of Centralia. This was the intersection of Centralia that was...
Okay, and so there would have been like shops and
there would
churches
shops
here
up
and
this road, houses down that way. Down here, there was a couple of houses. It pretty much ended right over there. Yeah, there would be shops all lined up and down this street. We'll go to this old cemetery first.
What was that foundation there, do you know?
Well, we're gonna come back to that.
Oh, okay.
No one really comes to this cemetery. They see this one over here to our right.
Oh, that's where the old graffiti highway, or...
That's right up here in front of us.
Okay. And so did you ever go down the graffiti highway?
Absolutely, I have pictures. Not gonna lie though, that road was covered in so many dicks. There's actually people out here.
Yeah. Is this not common? Mostly it's completely empty.
Not lately, yeah. Especially since they covered up Graffiti Road. But they only made it fun for quads and ATVs now, like little big old whoops.
Oh, so people still go on the graffiti highway?
Oh yeah, this is the old cemetery.
Okay, are we gonna get out here?
We can. Came out here a couple of times with friends when I was a teen. Tried to ghost hunt. We never saw anything, but we freaked ourselves out, you know.
Oh, so these people lived here a long, long time before the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Died in 1913. So Mt Carmel and Ashland to the south, do you think that gives a pretty good representation of what life would have been like here before?
Absolutely, except more crowded. 40, 50 years ago, when coal mining was bigger around here, Mt Carmel had 15,000 people.
Oh, okay.
And now it's only like 7. Feels crowded right now, but can you imagine back then?
Yeah, and back before cars, so everyone was walking out.
The common thing in our area is you'll find a bathroom in the basement of your house.
Why?
Because they would come home filthy, enter through the basement, wash, and then come up to the house.
And then so what's down here? Was there something else before?
Came out here, it was dark for most
Yeah.
part, but we can go check. One good thing, I've never heard of too much crime ever happening out here.
Yeah, so that's the question I wanted to ask actually. A lot of the jobs are gone. What are the main jobs that are left now?
So close by, we actually have a lot of distribution centers. Walmart, Amazon, Big Lots, buttload of big factories around us.
So the economy's still decent? Like people aren't struggling too much?
Oh no, we're struggling. Pay's not the best here in Pennsylvania. Most people in our area live paycheck to paycheck.
Okay, and why do you think that is? Like usually higher poverty leads to crime. Why is the crime so low?
Good people. I grew up, we never locked our door. We didn't have to. People around here are nice, but you have the assholes. There's a lot of drunks in our area.
Have a lot of people turned to drugs? And
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Meth and heroin in our town. I've lost a lot of friends because of heroin.
I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a lot of litter though, as
Yeah, you'll see it
you
everywhere.
were saying. Does the state or county not really maintain this part of town anymore since no one really lives here?
Not really, no. I mean, they'll threaten with action like, hey, you'll get fined. But I think in the last 5 years, I've seen maybe one cop out here.
Oh, so just from the research I did online, there were people saying there's cops waiting for anyone who trespasses Graffiti Highway.
So that was when they first put the dirt on there. Other than that, no, there's no cops out here ever anymore.
So what's the biggest misconception people have or thing they don't understand about Coal Region?
Family runs deep here. We stick together. That's one thing I love about this town. We may not be the richest, we might not be best dressed, but we're good people for real. I've met a lot of cool people that I'll keep in my life probably for the rest of my life.
So do most people stay in town then? Not a lot move out?
Most people stay because they can't get out. I used to weld. I used to travel for welding. This is home. It's easy, it's nice. And hunting. Hunting's fun.
Are they getting ready to hunt right here? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's archery season right now in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So you hunt a lot. Is there a lot of animals out here or just deer?
So I hunt rattlesnakes.
Oh, you don't?
Okay. No, go out in the woods, handle them, get pictures with them, and release them.
So what do you mean release them? So you don't kill them?
No. You can only harvest a male. And the way to tell it's a male, get it by the tail and wrangle it into a clear tube and count their subscales. 21 and above, it's a male. 20 below, it's a female. So it's a little beautiful dance with death. This is the big one, the newest one.
St. Ignatius Cemetery.
So like somebody that moved out of Centralia, they want to be buried next to their loved ones.
Yeah.
This is where they'll bring them to bury them. It was a little town like my town, Mt Carmel. And then it just slowly died over the years, especially after the fire. You got another little cemetery back there too.
Yeah, a lot of people here.
Mm-hmm.
So do you see any hope for a brighter future in Mt Carmel?
For better hope in Mt Carmel? I mean, it's hard to say. It seems like a lot of places nowadays are closing. Ever since COVID, the struggle's even harder. But we've had a few businesses pop up. Kid I went to school with, they made a business called the Soupy Brothers. Around here, we have Soupies. It's a piece of meat about 8 inches long and real thick, and it's hard salami. But it takes about 6 months to make.
And someone made like an online business selling this stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kid I went to high school with. You go 10, 15 minutes away from here and you ask somebody what a soupy is, they won't know.
Really? So it's super regional.
Yeah.
So we're walking up now to Graffiti Highway. It's just
right over these mountains, yeah. A full mile of just road that used to be here. Spray paint down the whole thing. A huge crack down in the middle.
So this used to be the highway, then it became this right next to it.
Yes, so they built this around it.
Because the steam literally just...
Steam in the road. Growing up, we would come down here, probably about like 200 yards down this road. Mm-hmm. There was a crack in the road probably 2.5 feet wide, this deep, right in the middle of the road, and for about 100 feet. And smoke would rise out of that hole every day. There has been people over the years that have fallen into them.
Just like a sinkhole opened up right beneath them?
But that's a mining area.
Still some remnants of the graffiti?
Yeah, they put all this dirt here, and now dirt bikes, side-by-sides, quads. They have all these mounds now to ride around on.
So yeah, they tried to keep people out, but if anything, it's making it more fun to ride here.
But it was cool. You come back here during the day, you'd have dirt bikes and four-wheelers coming up this road just wheeling. People didn't really get hurt, so I don't understand why they just decided to close it up. I think it was quite rude, especially for the history of the town.
So did you do fires on this highway?
Not here. There was already a fire here in the middle of the road, in the crack. Put a piece of wood in one of those cracks, come back 24 hours, that piece of wood would be just charred black. Put a shoe there, the rubber would melt.
Wow.
And growing up at that young of age around here, you didn't think of Centralia like, oh, it's abandoned and underground mine fire. It was just a town that caught on fire and nobody lives there no more. If these weren't here, the entire road from here down was just spray painted, just different things of people.
For like over a mile, you could.
Yeah, you just look down and just read for hours.
I guess there's one of those phallic objects that remains. Someone turned it to a smiley face, though.
Ingenious.
So is there anything you'd want to change about Centralia? Or?
Yeah, all these dirt mounds taken back up. I think that was probably the coolest thing for people to come visit. They walk down this road and they bring a can of spray paint and make their own little mark here.
Did it increase tourism to Mt Carmel too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So if anything, this has hurt the local economy too then?
I think so. I mean, we have an amusement park 15 minutes away that's called Knoebels.
Okay.
And they have 2 of the top 10 wooden roller coasters in the world.
Really?
Absolutely. It's family friendly, free to get in, free to park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what do you pay for? Just each ride?
Rides.
Okay.
You can either buy like a hand stamp for the entire day, or you can take your dog, walk around. They actually have 4 rides you can take your dog on. But yeah, people would come to Centralia, then they would go to Knoebels, or they'd be at Knoebels, and this ain't far away, they'd come visit here, stop through Mt Carmel, eat. But now that this isn't here,
yeah,
people have no reason to stop out here. My grandfather had 90 acres on top of a mountain. I grew up. That's why I love the outdoors. I went to New York once, came up out of the subway right into New York. I felt the anxiety, just too much is going on.
And would you say people are really friendly to each other, or is it mostly everyone keeps to themselves type of vibe?
So it depends. This is a town full of a lot of good people. People that will give you a shirt off their back. And there's people that will look at you crying and then just probably kick dirt at you. I like to live life with a happy attitude. I don't like to be mad or angry at anyone. It's a waste of time. I'd rather use that energy and stay happy.
Yeah, and spread love and positivity.
Damn right.
So now we're driving up to one of the vents, you were saying?
Yeah, where our vent used to be and where we used to have fires.
So you were saying it's better in the wintertime for...
Our winter time, and everything's wet from the night before from a rain.
Wow. Oh, you can see the church. Wow.
Yep. Oh, yeah, there it is. I forgot that. So that Silent Hill movie, the church looks just like that when they show it.
I'd imagine these windmills were not here back in the day.
No. Those windmills don't even supply power to us. They go to New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not even for us.
So is the electricity still on coal, or is there...
Yeah, above Mount Carmel, about a mile and a half away, we have the cogen. It's a coal plant that burns.
Oh, it's still operating?
Yep, we have a coal mine half a mile right down this road.
Even just this close to the fires underneath?
Yep.
They still go down, wow.
Yep. We're known as the coal region. Shamokin all the way down to Schuylkill County, just coal veins. Our area used to be a huge supplier of coal for most of the world at one point. Fun fact, our town, Mount Carmel, was the first town in the world to have streetlights because of Thomas Edison. Right down here was where a big vent used to be.
Oh, yeah, there's like, this was a road.
Yeah, on the side of the road here. Like you would come right down here over this hill and you would have just smoke coming out from little areas. If you walk around these woods enough, you'll find a little vent shaft. But unfortunately, it's not smoking right this moment. I always thought, like, where the coal region, how come it hasn't burnt its way to Mount Carmel yet at all? Or...
Yeah, that's what I was like. All the towns a mile, 2 miles away, they don't have to evacuate, but Centralia did.
Yeah, Ashland's a mile that way, Mount Carmel's a mile that way, and you have a town right on top of that hill right behind the church.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even know there's towns so close because the way the woods and the hills seclude you.
So you see that rock over there that says HFC? See how there's like underneath, there's like that opening?
Yeah.
So a lot of times that would be like a vent when you came up here.
Growing up, was the situation less depressing? Mount Carmel, was it more hopeful?
I think when I grew up in Mount Carmel, it was a great time to grow up. Now there's so many buildings that are just empty. Oh, is that shit? Did I just step in shit? God damn.
Yeah, a lot of animals up here, huh?
Yeah, black bears, deer, fishers.
So what did oh, this all used to be a road?
Yep, here it was. So that used to be a vent. Smoke, steam would rise up out of here.
Oh, you can kind of see or it's humid still.
Oh. Got a pipe over there in the ground that I believe they used to throw water down. No, I never seen steam come out of this pipe, but when they tried putting the fire out with water back in the day, they'd use these pipes to just pump water down in.
Yeah. Oh, because it's all filled in now. That's why no steam.
We used to have fire right back here though.
How many years ago was this?
2012, 2013.
That's the last time you did a fire up here?
Yeah, left down here. I mean, one of the houses that remain is just right over this hill.
Okay.
We'd have fires, they wouldn't even know we were here.
Do you know any of the people that still remain? Have you talked to them ever?
I know one of the people that live here in one of the houses, he's the mayor.
The mayor of Centralia?
Yeah. There's a bunch of cars out in front of his house.
Oh, that building.
There were stories actually of devil worshippers that come out here. You see wax on trees.
I mean, I'm sure any of these places that are abandoned now, not many people come, they're gonna have a freaky vibe, right? So
yeah, you gotta scare the kids. Our fire pit would probably be where it's more grown in through the shrubs.
So this was all empty before, 10 years ago?
A lot lower. These trees weren't as high. Like these trees, they weren't here.
So 10 years from now, this is all just gonna be erased. It'll all be a forest.
I would not doubt that.
And how does that make you feel if this town...
It sucks, but I'm happy that I got to experience it. I live by... You can't have a good memory if you don't make good memories. When a picture is a way to remember a time once forgotten. I have pictures of Spray Paint Road, me laying down next to a giant spray painted penis and another friend making it look like it was his. But for the most part, that's all you can really see of this town. If there wasn't such grown in, like early spring, early winter, you'll see a lot more.
It's not even like post-apocalyptic. I feel like it's post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. If the world collapsed, this is what you would be looking at. Yeah. We were spray painting the roads too.
Right now?
Oh, we're here.
Oh, yeah. Trying to make new graffiti highways. What do most people normally do in this part of the country?
People will spend $35,000 on a side-by-side just to get drunk and ride out the trails here. We're known for off-roading. A lot of big trucks, mud, partying. I partied at a young age. I'm now 35. I'd be out here at 17 years old getting drunk with buddies. Felt like I lived an older lifestyle at a young age. I mean, I still have a drink here and there, but I don't get drunk. I do smoke weed though. I believe this is the mayor's house down here.
Yeah, this is the house I walked by earlier. I thought it was abandoned. So this is a house, it's not a garage.
Old garage house, yeah.
And someone lives in this building.
I don't know if they live there anymore.
Oh, there's a cat.
Still got cats. Can you imagine someone was living in the pop-up?
Makes sense.
Think I can drive around that?
Oh, yeah. This is the road right now.
Off-roading in a Buick.
We're getting a real coal region experience. How many houses do you know are remaining?
That building. There's that garage back there. I think 1 or 2 houses right up there.
Oh, do you know where the other 2 are?
Yeah, well, you're right
Okay.
there. And then there's the fire company right there.
Yeah.
We're all volunteer fire company around here. We have a haunted house attraction in Leesburg where volunteer firefighters scare people for a haunted attraction. I did it for 6 years. It was some of the funnest scares I've ever got to do.
Oh, and here are some other buildings.
Here's the other 2 houses.
So I read population is 5 in town. Is that accurate, or do you think there's more people still?
I think probably less.
Less than 5?
Yeah.
So it's one family living in both of those buildings.
One family in that building and one family here. I mean, just a guy.
And so I'd imagine these people come into Mount Carmel to get their supplies and whatnot. Do people know who the last residents of Centralia are?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely people that do. I'd like to meet them, actually. Now you mention that. I'll tell you one thing, there's probably no code enforcement for them to cut their grass.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take you, I'll show you the coal mine right down here down the road.
Oh, there's a coal mine, right?
It's more like a above ground mine. It's not like an underground anymore.
Yeah.
But they dug down the ground. It's just a huge pit. See that big hill behind these trees?
Where the crane is?
Yep. That mountain, that was not there 5 years ago. They built that.
Out of what? Out of just dirt?
Stuff that's not cool. Maybe we can pull in and get a view of it.
Wow. I guess this is a much newer type of mine. Before you had to have the people actually go down, and now it's all in this machinery.
Yeah, there's not tunnels. So back there, it's just a pit. I was once up there on top of the hill and looked down. It's pretty wild from up top.
So is this open pit mining is what it's called?
Yeah.
Warning, explosives in use.
Yeah. You hear a boom every once in a while. So we can go back there, but that guy's already looking at us.
Yeah. So they built that entire mound out of digging up the ground just to try to find coal. Obviously with a lot more tech than they used to have back in the day, but this is what made this region such a thriving part of the country. And sadly,
it's dying.
A lot of these jobs are gone. Anything else you want to share about Mount Carmel, Centralia?
If you like fishing, outdoors, quads, mud bogs, this is a place to visit. And if you like to drink, we got some people here that will probably outdrink and put you under the table.
Well, that was an incredible tour with Nick. This church at the top of the hill that we saw from afar, one of the only, probably the only building still remaining in good condition. But while there's not much left to Centralia today, the neighboring town Mount Carmel still has around 6,700 residents. So let's head 4 miles west and hopefully talk to some locals who once lived in Centralia. Welcome to Mount Carmel, which is perhaps a better representation of a coal mining town than anywhere else in this area. You're gonna have a lot of old architecture, as well as a bunch of history. Now, the population today is about 5,700. Obviously, the town has seen better days. It originally was a logging town back in the early 1800s. The first coal was found in the area in the 1830s, which led to the modern layout of this town being laid out in 1853. It was incorporated as a town the following year. Yeah, the situation here does not look good. But back in the late 1800s, this town was booming. By 1890, there were 9 collieries in the area, and the population grew from under 1,000 in 1860 to over 8,000 by 1890 and 17,500 by 1910. The population peaked at around 18,000 residents back in 1930. This was a bustling, full-fledged town. I'm gonna put the full historical population numbers on the screen. As you can see, by the 1940s, the coal industry had begun its decline. And today, the population is just an estimated 5,723 people. So I'm parked up off of Market Street, which is the main highway that goes through town. You see a Dollar General right up there, which is common in very rural parts of the country that maybe don't have a grocery store. I do believe Mount Carmel is still large enough to have a grocery store. But yeah, look at these old storefronts. This is quite a big town, actually. The population at its peak was nearly 20,000 residents, and a lot of those buildings from the early 1900s still remain. There is quite a footprint in this town. Now, if you're wondering about the types of people who still live in Mount Carmel, the median age is currently 42.9 years old. In Pennsylvania, the median age is 40.8, so it's a little older here. 19% of the population is under the age of 18. 21% of the population is over the age of 65. and 60% of the population is in the working age. Now, 51.3% of the population is male, 48.7% of the population is female. A lot of these homes have so much soul and character. Like, yeah, they're a little run down now, but just imagine how bustling this city must have been, especially before cars. People were probably just flooding these streets. Now, 92% of Mount Carmel is white, non-Hispanic. 4% is Hispanic or Latino. 2% is black, and 2% is 2 or more races. There is 0% of the population that is Asian, Native American, or Islander. The median home value in Mount Carmel is $50,146. And as you can see, a lot of these homes need quite some work on them. So even though you are buying a house for around the price of a brand new pickup truck, they're probably not going to be in that great a condition. Well, I guess maybe the trash is picked up right here. Rural Pennsylvania living. The trash collection is a guy in a truck. They don't have a full garbage disposal truck. Yeah, this alleyway definitely looks like it was built in the early 1900s at the latest. But I am now heading up East 4th Street. I believe the main street back in the day was South Oak Street. Oh, there's a coffee shop, Cinnamon Sticks. They're closed on Monday, which is today. Coffee and gift shop. There are certainly still some businesses in town. This Shops on the Corner building is quite old. Does not look like there are any shops in there anymore. Oh, but there's actually some nice, charming storefronts. At least the facades are really nice still, even if they are deteriorating. Family Home Medical. Now, the poverty rate in Mount Carmel is currently 17.9%, whereas in Pennsylvania, it's only 11.8%. So people are definitely struggling here, even with the very low median home value. The unemployment rate is currently 4.2% in Northumberland County, which is the county that I am now in. And wow, look at this building. At least this street right here, if the cars weren't here, it would literally feel like a ghost town. Holy. I feel like this building was abandoned at least 20, 30 years ago. Wow. And then I think this Vizentainer's Motel directly across has been completely abandoned for quite some time as well. Now, the median household income in Mount Carmel is about $46,375, which is 37% below the US median of nearly $75,000. On the bright side, crime hasn't risen. Normally, high poverty rates lead to high crime, but the crime rate here is actually 8% below the national average. It's safer in Mount Carmel than your average town or city in the United States. Yeah, so many old buildings, so much history, and it's one of hundreds of now forgotten coal mining towns that most people don't even think twice about. Oh, we got a church here, some row homes. How beautiful. We passed South Oak Street. That was the one with all of the main shops on it. So let's head back, maybe go into some of the businesses that are actually open and hopefully talk to some of the locals. This is Walter McAndrew, a local of Mount Carmel. So have you lived here your whole life?
Yes.
You said you knew people that lived in Centralia. Did you ever visit the town before?
I used to loaf up there.
You still, what?
I used to loaf up there, hang out. Wasn't as big as Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel was 18,000, maybe that was 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Okay, but it was pretty busy, like there were shops and...
Well, there wasn't many shops.
Oh.
No. They came down here. This area here was all the shopping area.
So how has Mount Carmel changed in your life then?
There's no stores anymore. We got one clothing store, Matlow's, eateries, maybe 1, 2, 3 places, and the rest is just empty buildings.
And has it been that way for a while, or is this more?
Oh. Every year is getting less and less.
How long ago was that, would you say, when it was still pretty busy?
When I was growing up, in my teens.
And how old are you now, if you don't mind me?
73. It didn't happen overnight, but in the last 20 years.
So there was still a decent amount of jobs here 20, 30 years ago?
Not jobs, businesses. You know, like the Academy Sports Center and Matlow's. Matlow's has been here forever.
Is there any change you'd want to see happen in Mount Carmel, or is there any hope for a brighter future?
I don't think it's going to change in my lifetime, because my life is just about over.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, it's coming.
Do you still really enjoy living here?
Yeah, yeah. I don't like what's moving into the area. People from Philadelphia, Jersey, and people that don't work, don't pay taxes. That's what it's turning into.
So are there still a lot of people who were born and raised here that live here?
Yeah, most of the people that live here were born and raised here, but the people moving in now are trying to change the town to where they came from. Us older people can't accept it. We're dying off too. My daughter moved 20 miles from here. She built a new home. People with any education move out of the area.
Does she still come back and visit quite often?
Yeah, we go visit her too, because she has my grandson.
Oh, okay. Obviously, this part of the country is quite impoverished, but it's also pretty safe from the statistics. Why do you think that is?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a safe place.
You don't think it's safe here? Okay.
No. There's shootings down in Shamokin now. You know, we never had that.
What's the wildest thing you've seen happen in the last 20 years?
Drugs.
A lot of drugs?
Yeah. I would say the people that are moving in are bringing the drugs with them and selling drugs.
And as someone who grew up in Mount Carmel, are you proud to be from here, and what does being from here mean to you?
One thing is the football team.
The high school?
Yeah, they're the winningest team in the state. 900 wins they have.
And I guess what was growing up here like?
Well, it was nice. It was a coal region.
So did you work in coal ever?
No, my dad did. I worked on the pipeline for 25 years, and then I worked at the school as a maintenance supervisor for 20 years. But growing up, I used to dip ice cream for 4 years, and I was a shop person. I had 12 old cars that I restored. They're gone now. They went for my daughter to go to college and get married.
What's your favorite thing about Mount Carmel then?
I guess retiring here and enjoy doing nothing.
Yeah? Is that one fully abandoned right there?
Well, somebody's working on it. I don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
The windows have been open for 2 weeks and you hear pounding going on in there.
What's like a hidden gem that's still here, a place you recommend I need to check out over here?
I don't know what to tell you. I go to the pool hall. It was a pool hall. It ain't a pool hall anymore.
This pizza place?
Yeah.
Do you have any interesting stories about Centralia from your friends that lived there?
Well, Blaze Alexander, he has the 12 dealerships. He grew up there, and he said that somebody started it in the garbage.
Somebody started the fires
Underground.
Yeah.
By burning garbage, caught the coal on fire. That's what he said.
So Walter was telling me I need to go into Matlow's, which should be up here on South Oak Street as well. And yeah, most places that I travel, especially if the town is quite impoverished, I'm a little nervous if my questions might offend some people, but it really feels like the locals here, they're not trying to hide from it. But yeah, here on South Oak Street, we have a liquor store and then Matlow's right next to a more gentrified looking building. Oh wow, this is nice on the inside, Matlow's.
The first time you get so nervous about a lot of stuff.
Lots of shirts, menswear.
Yeah, I'm gonna say because she can't take care of it.
Paul, one of the owners, told me that he thinks the actual best interview is going to be a lady named Kathy Besser, whose mother was part of the whole business association that brought businesses to this place in the first place. Now it is currently around 11 a.m. The sun is out. It's a nice day for the region. But as you can see, there's almost no one walking out and about. There's cars parked. I'm sure there's people in businesses. But yeah, there's just no people. I think that's a reoccurring theme in many of these small towns dying a slow death in rural America. The mood isn't hopeful, the mood is depressed, which means the people that remain usually just stay at home. It appears Walter is one of the few souls walking up Main Street. And over here on the left, we have the Mt Carmel Area Public Library, as well as Academy Sports Center, where Kathy Besser should be able to give a good rundown of how life has changed in Mount Carmel and what life in this part of the country is like.
He's in there.
She's in there right now?
He's in there now. Yep, I'm dinging.
So this is Kathy Besser. You were the head of the downtown businesses thing?
At one time, yes, I was. But now I am president of the community center and on the historical society.
And I heard that your mother was the mother of
Yes,
Mount Carmel?
she was. Over there is a a plaque for her. She was the president of the downtown. Everybody came to her. There's nothing that she wasn't involved in, so big shoes to fill. I was raised in Mt Carmel, came here when I was 3. Dad was in the service. Have been with the family business ever since then. Academy Sports Center. We've been around 71 years now. Grandfather started, yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like just being in that store, you know everyone comes together.
Yeah, it's football season in Mt Carmel, but it's a close-knit community. That's why I like living here. My husband's from Chicago. He loves that close-knit community. You know, if the chips are down, somebody's going to have your back. That's why I love living here.
When you were growing up, was it a lot busier and there was a lot more businesses?
Yeah, there was a lot more population too. At one point, there was over 18,000 people. So there was a lot of downtown businesses. That's before the malls hit. A lot of the businesses who are still in town here are generational. So second, third, there's a business in town that's been around for 100 years.
What would you say is the biggest change between when you were growing up versus now?
We lived in a bubble for so long. Crime rate was down, drugs weren't around, we didn't have to lock our doors, but now the bubble's bursting. Crime rate is up, the drugs have really pushed through. It's hard for the people to adjust to that when they weren't used to all that coming in or coming through at least. And there are jobs available. You might have to drive maybe 10, 20 minutes to get it.
There's a few fulfillment centers, I heard.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of jails and prisons around here. So a lot of guys have good jobs.
And so would you say the general sentiment in town is hopeful for?
I think so. Downtown, we've had people move in and open up businesses, and it's been great. We have quite a bit of a diversity now, which is wonderful. I see changes. A lot of people can be negative because their hope gets crushed, but I'm always trying to stay positive. The good outweighs the bad. We always focus in on the bad stuff and not the good stuff.
To go along with change, I've heard a lot of people are moving from like Philadelphia and the cities.
Because it is less expensive to live here, yes.
And what's your opinion on that?
I like to see change. I think it's a good thing, especially our area, the coal region, that they can buy a house and raise their kids here. So
That's a pretty good family-friendly community?
I think so.
What's something about Coal Region that most people not from here wouldn't understand?
We have a work ethic. Of course, everybody says we have a language all of our own. Everybody has slang and things like that.
Are there certain words that...
Certain words that we use. I think the friendliness of people, too. We love when new people come and visit. We like to show off our areas was one thing. We like to show it off.
So did you know anyone who lived in Centralia?
I did. Some of the kids from Centralia, it depended where you lived, came to school. So I went to school with a lot of kids from Centralia. In fact, our church, when they closed the United Methodist Church in Centralia, they transferred over to ours. So there's a lot of people still in our church that grew up in Centralia.
And do you know any stories of what it was like when they were forced to leave?
I know it was tough on a lot, especially the older ones. If you had chose to move, it would have been one thing, but when you're forced out, and some people, depending when they sold their houses, got disparity in how much you got for your house, but the most part, it was just leaving all your friends and your family through no fault of your own. They still are close. I think they still get together, the ones that can, or they talk about old times. In the church too, I hear different stories of, do you remember so-and-so? Especially now they're getting older, they're passing away, but it was really rough on them because, like I said, it wasn't their choice. It's like splitting up a family.
Do you know any of the remaining residents in Centralia?
I do know some of them. I don't see them that often.
And do you know what life is like now over there?
Quiet. They're going to be there until the very end. They just like to be left alone. To the outside world, it's a thing. To us that grew up here, we just see the sadness. Growing up, you go through there, and it was just downtown like this. The main street was full of...
So when you were a kid growing up, it was like this?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It was a downtown. There was, banks and bars and restaurants. Main Street was like this. It was the downtown.
Oh, wow.
That's where all their businesses were. Cemetery that you can see. Next to it was the church. When they brought down the church, was really hard because that church was built, I think, 1870s, 1880s. The school was there and stuff like that. There was a VFW, all sorts of things. So it was just thriving. And then completely, there's nothing there. The land has taken back over.
Yeah, very quickly, very
Very
fast,
quickly, yeah.
So do you wish all those old buildings were still in Centralia?
Oh, yeah. I still think they could have been there, but they just didn't know because it's hit the main vein, so they don't know how far and how fast it was going to do. And I think they had the public's best interest.
Do you remember if the transition was basically overnight, or
it was years? It was gradual. Depending on the location you were at, the closer you were to where the fire they found, that's who was gone first, and then it gradually took everybody. And there was like the baseball field there. I mean, just remember, it is sad. Then it became a thing, and tourists came in. I don't know what they're expecting when they see it, but I just see the sadness.
In Mt Carmel, are there any big changes you would want to see happen in the coming decade?
Oh, I'd like to see a lot of changes. I'd like to see more businesses actually come downtown, closer places for people to work at. I like to see more people get involved. Back in the day, you had so many organizations and everybody was involved, and they gave back to the town. The generation below me, Now I'm 60. Doesn't tend to
Oh,
get.
you're 60?
I'm
Wow.
60.
Oh, you look amazing. Wow.
I'm sick. Thanks. They don't tend to get involved. All the older people have passed away, and nobody new is coming to take up the cause.
Do you see that happening now with the latest generation, or are they more moving away?
Everybody here, and I understand it, they go to college and they move away. But we need more of those kids to come back and give back to the community that essentially raised them.
Obviously, you're proud to be from Mount Carmel. What does Mount Carmel mean to you, or Coal Region?
Coal Region. Everything. This is where I grew up. It made me who I am. To help a neighbor out, we might not get along, but if your chips are down, boom, everybody's there for you. I can call somebody up if I need a mechanic or insurance agent or whoever, or somebody just had a new baby and everybody's excited about them. So it's that close-knit community is what I love. Getting along, no matter if we have our differences, especially in the way the world's going now, we still have each other's back.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kathy.
You guys have a great day.
Oh,
It's never a 5-minute stop when you go in there. You're in there for a good half hour talking.
Yeah.
and he used to be the football coach, right?
He was one of the assistant football coaches.
Okay.
And he's a great teacher down there at school. Both my kids had him, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So everyone, everything's
Everybody,
coming full circle.
Yeah, somebody from out of the area bought this big old gorgeous building, so I'm hoping they're gonna fix it because it's a gorgeous building. But we've got a lot of people who are giving. There's a lot of people born and raised there who have never given back. I have more people that move in, they're giving back. And I have a big mouth, as you can tell.
So there's no trash removal in Mount Carmel?
There is, but it's all independent trash removal.
So it's not part of your taxes?
No. Our taxes are nothing. You know how much it is by the bag. You can send them out, and they'll come pick it up.
And what's the price per bag, if you don't mind me asking?
I couldn't tell you. $5 a bag. I just pay whatever it is at the end.
Yeah.
He tells me, I'm like, okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yes, sir.
We talked to you all day, huh?
I'll bore you. But if you need to know anything else or you need anything, just contact me by Facebook or the community center or the historical society. I have 7 pages.
You are the mother of Mount Carmel now.
No, I'm the daughter. If you need anything else downtown, just stop by.
Yeah,
All right,
thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Well, that was a great interview with Kathy Besser. She did recommend I check out a place called G-Hop, God's House of Praise, which is apparently a family who moved in the past few years or so, and they renovated an old bank building, made it a great restaurant. But these are some more of the buildings. There's Union National Bank. Yeah, it looks like an old bank building as well. Sons of Poland. Brings you back to a different day in America, when main streets were bustling. It has turned out to be an absolutely beautiful day today, which isn't that common, at least at this time of year, in this region of the country. We are currently at an elevation of 1,100 feet in the Appalachian Mountains, so there's quite big temperature swings. Now, Centralia is almost 1,500 feet, so it's a few hundred feet higher, but the type of climate in Centralia is also pretty similar in Mount Carmel. Summertime average temperatures are usually around the high 70s during the day. In the wintertime, it'll be in the low to mid 30s during the day to low 20s at night. There are 183 sunny days per year. And even on a day like today, it usually starts out quite foggy, quite misty, which makes the town appear a little creepier. Like this street right here, it ends. Normally a main street doesn't have a business right at the end of it. And yeah, wow, look at that. Just so many old buildings. Why do they not build like they used to back in the day? Every single one of these buildings has so much soul and character. Now, there are 34 inches of annual rainfall and 39 inches of annual snowfall. Yeah, that is creepy right there. But on the other side, we have some more abandoned buildings over there, but this is the old bank building, which is now a soul food restaurant. Gospel House of Praise, not God's House of Praise. Let's walk inside. Oh, it is closed on Mondays. What a bummer. I mean, it looks cool, and they have this whole outdoor seating area as well on the left. Oh, they have a drive-through even. I'm now at the end of picturesque South Oak Street, where it intersects with Highway 61, which continues onward to another neighboring coal town called Shamokin. Oh, over here is the Pink Moon Collective. It's a new building in town established in 2020. It's a beautiful building. Oh, it is closed, I guess. They're open Wednesday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, I guess closed Mondays and Tuesdays. That appears to be a pattern, especially in a lot of small town America. There just aren't enough people that would shop at businesses, especially not on Mondays. Most of them are just closed. But yeah, look at this, an old abandoned gas station, homes that are definitely deteriorating. It's sad. And this is South Hickory Street. It appears there is some type of construction repaving. I don't know if those are houses or businesses. These all look to be homes not in the best of shape. Wow, there's still an old church on this street. Like, it's such a shame seeing what this town has turned into. This is such a beautiful part of the country, and there's so much beautiful architecture. This is East 3rd Street. The old post office, or I guess this is the current post office. Zip code 17851. And then this townhome in the middle, this home right here, is for sale. It's a 3-bed, 1-bathroom home, and it's going for $25,000. On this side, yeah, there's a lot of these windows that appear just completely boarded up. And yeah, this building is just having the paint fall off of it. I still much prefer walking through a city like this, I have to say, versus a lot of these newer American Southwest cities that really aren't walkable at all. They're just strip malls and cookie cutter suburbs. I am now back in the car off of South Chestnut Street. I wanted to show you guys one of the fancier, more expensive homes in the area. So we have a lot of these row homes, but 40 North Walnut Street, this building right here, looks very nice on the interior, at least on Zillow. A 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot home, and it is going for $120,000. This is one of the more expensive homes, and it's still a third of the US median home value. Oh, what is that building down there? I need to check this one out. Yeah, this building on the left, I don't know what this is either. There's a star. 101 North Locust Avenue. You can really see how much of a bustling city this was. It really looks like those photos of small town America in the 1960s, and then just all the homes have fallen into disrepair. Look at that. No trespassing, private property. But while it was fascinating to hear stories of the people who live in Mount Carmel, people who knew people from Centralia, apparently the other coal mining town, Ashland, just 2 miles south of Centralia, has even more history and beautiful architecture. So let's head there now. And welcome to the town of Ashland. Today, the population is only around 2,500 residents, but at its peak, over 7,000 people lived in this bustling coal mining town that probably looks quite similar to how Centralia did back in the day. Now, a little brief history as we drive through this very picturesque main street. Coal mining began in this region in 1846, and the town was incorporated in 1857. Despite only 224 people living here in 1850, by the time this town was incorporated, there were already 3,500 residents. But wow, just look at this beautiful, beautiful main street. Now, it never grew quite as large as Mount Carmel, but the population peaked at around 7,400 residents in 1890 and remained quite steady until the 1940s when the coal industry started to decline. But wow, yeah, this is just a beautiful, beautiful hill. I mean, yes, a lot of these buildings seem to be on their last legs, but this is one of the most picturesque main streets I have seen in my life. I am going to park up underneath a statue right up this hill on the left, which has a very interesting history. So this is Center Street that I just drove down. It's actually a really long strip of houses, restaurants, shops, but I actually wanted to go up this street here. There's a monument in grateful tribute to the sons and daughters of Ashland who served in all wars. And then right at the top of this hill, this is the Whistler's mother's statue. A mother is the holiest thing alive. It actually is angled towards Centralia, and it was built in 1938. Now over here we have the Ashland Boys Association. Widespread job loss in Pennsylvania, anthracite region in the late 19th century led many Ashland boys to seek employment elsewhere. Strong attachment to the miners' former hometown prompted formation of the ABA in 1900 and built this Mother's Memorial. It is a 8-foot tall statue. It's a beautiful, beautiful statue, erected September 5th, 1938. Oh, and look here at the top. We have a little cat. Hey, buddy. Wow, and there's a little park. It just goes into the woods, yeah, and then right behind these woods is gonna be Centralia. And there's just homes. I don't even know how you would get to this house. I don't know if you can really see that, but that house is certainly abandoned. It's kind of blending in with the fall foliage. A metaphor for how much of this region has been overtaken by the forest. Oh, wow, look at this view. Coal region in the Appalachian Mountains is mesmerizing. I'm gonna walk up to the top of this park, however, and see if it connects to a road. It does actually. Interesting. Old road that has overgrown trees all over it. Oh, I can see this house now. Yeah, that house is, I mean, it's in a very picturesque setting. Danger, keep out. Now, the median age in Ashland is 42.8 years. 16% of the population is under 18. 15% is over 65. This is just stunning. 97% of the population is white. 1.6% is black. 1.2% is 2 or more races. And 0.2% is Hispanic or Latino. The median household income here is much higher than it was in neighboring Mount Carmel, $62,900. Whereas the poverty rate is going to be a little lower because of that higher income, 15.9%. But whoa, look at that. There's literally a hole in the roof of that house. The median home value in Ashland is more than double the median home value in Mount Carmel, actually. It's $101,000. And it has increased by 8.8% over the past year. And speaking of the booming housing market, do not look at this building on the left. Whoa, I want to actually look at that home. So that one on the right isn't too bad, and then this one, holy. I mean, there certainly is a lot of charm here, even with all of the blighted buildings. Now, at least one bright thing about Ashland and Coal Region in general is crime is really low. In Ashland especially, it is 56% below the national average, and the violent crime rate is 58% below the national average. But yeah, this building looks like it was built in the 1800s. And this one over here too, right next to the blue one. I think it's a separate building. Windows are broken in. The natural setting here, on the other hand, is just gorgeous. I still cannot get over how beautiful these hills of central eastern Pennsylvania are. And remember, y'all, this is not the main street in town. There's still so much character. Why do they not build towns like this anymore? But now I'm at the intersection of Walnut and 9th Street, where we're going to see 3 homes for sale all right next to each other. So 901 Walnut Street is gonna be this building. It is a 4-bed, 2-bathroom property, and it is going for $48,000. Whereas directly across the street from it, on this beautiful Walnut Street, we have 900 Walnut Street. It's a 5-bed, 3-bath, 2,200 square foot home. The interior looks like it was remodeled, and it is going for $185,000. And then there's one more home to show you guys what one of the cheapest properties in Ashland looks like. On the right, 726 Walnut Street. This white house is a 3-bed, 1-bath, 2,100 square foot property, and is currently being sold for $14,900. Oh, and look at this building here. Yeah, I wish I could say it was just a few houses here and there, but it really just feels like every single home, Coal Region in general. It's a tragedy. Now, there's actually a place called the Pioneer Tunnel in Ashland, which is a real-life old coal mine. Unfortunately, it is only open on Saturdays and Sundays, so we will not be able to go down into the mine. I'll overlay a few photos of what it sort of looks like. But right now, I want to check out a place that is best representative of the neglect and decay that Coal Region, Pennsylvania has undergone. And wow, just there's so much beautiful architecture here. It is so sad what has happened to this part of the country.
500 feet.
Now, I hadn't heard too much about Mount Carmel being haunted. There are a lot of ghost stories about Ashland, however, and considering all the history and dilapidation, I wouldn't doubt it. It's the most haunted building of them all in Ashland. Is this building right in front of me. This is the former Ashland Regional Medical Center. It was originally built in 1882, and it has been completely abandoned since 2012. It is a 6-story, 192,000 square foot facility, and unfortunately, it was permanently closed due to financial issues, which seems to be a recurring theme in this part of the country. It was later renamed to the St. Catherine Medical Center. It is no longer a functioning hospital, but this sign shows what it maybe used to be. Wow, and in 12 years, 2012, all of the nature that's already overtaken this building. It's so fast. And ironically enough, in 2021, apparently someone bought the entire building for around $750,000. So yeah, someone bought this entire hospital for cheaper than the price of a single family home in Boston. But although we aren't allowed to go inside this building and Centralia wasn't much of a ghost town to explore, there is still one fully intact ghost town deep in the woods about an hour drive north of here. Let's go to Concrete City. Before I head up to Concrete City, there is actually one more attraction I wanted to check out in Ashland as we pass through this very industrial area. But right up here on the left, while we weren't able to see steam smoking out of the vents in the city of Centralia itself, actually the only geyser east of the Mississippi River exists in Ashland, Pennsylvania. There appears to be some mineral deposits in the soil, and as you can hear, there is running water right over here. This is the Big Mine Run geyser, and it is very, very orange. Yeah, so I think that hole right there can shoot up to as high as 15 feet tall. It was accidentally man-made because after the mines in the area were abandoned in the 1930s, the empty mine shafts filled with water from a lot of rain, and all of the underground water pressure then escapes through this very small ventilation hole. Apparently in the springtime, when there's a lot of rainfall, is when it can shoot over 10 feet high. It dumps into Mahanoy Creek right down there, which runs through the town of Ashland. But let's get back in the car and head over to Concrete City. Wow, look at that. There's the mailman. I'm really getting an old Americana vibe here. I am now parked up off of Hanover Street in Nanticoke, Pennsylvania. Oh, and I guess some people were just four-wheeling to Concrete City. I, however, do not have a four-wheeler, so I'm going to walk this path on my own 2 feet. We already have some graffiti just on the rocks at the start of the trail. Yeah, all of them have a little graffiti on them. Yeah, all these trees have some graffiti on them too. Oh, this is what the woods in northeastern Pennsylvania looks like. Beautiful, peaceful, serene setting. And for some reason, big coal companies back in the day thought it was a good idea to build a city literally out of concrete in the middle of this forest. I still have a few hundred yards to go to get to the actual Concrete City. But although it's a shame that the government demolished pretty much every abandoned house in Centralia, as well as covered the graffiti highway, this ghost town that you see in front of me is literally indestructible. Trust me, if they could have destroyed it, they would have. They tried. They tried 100 sticks of dynamite and it didn't even leave a dent because every one of these buildings is built out of literal concrete. Welcome to Concrete City. Holy, that is such an aesthetic building. Each one of these buildings is just covered in graffiti. Some of it is more artistic than others, and you can actually walk inside these buildings. It is very, very cold. You can see up top. This is so freaking cool. There is a path downstairs. I feel like I should probably check it out just to see what the down here would have looked like. Okay, yeah, it is fully crumbled down here. Wow. Oh, I wonder if this was like a sewage system or the bathroom. The land is very, very swampy, mushy. But to get into the history of what this city exactly is, it was originally built in 1911 as company housing for the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad employees who worked at a nearby colliery. Yeah, it is way too muddy. But as we approached from the other side, there were 22 identical buildings, all made out of a single pour of concrete. Each one was a duplex house, so altogether it housed 44 of the best employees. It was deemed quite an honor to be able to live in one of these houses. And each house, oh, it is very, very muddy. But each house was a 4-bedroom house with 2 levels, as well as a basement. Wow, that is a nice heart. It appears there is someone spray painting in the house behind me, adding to all this art. And all of these concrete houses at the time were built around a central courtyard, which had tennis courts, as well as a baseball field. Someone did tell me there is an airsoft game going on right now, so I should be careful. So those houses I was just at are right up there, and this would have been the main central courtyard area. You can kind of get a taste of how spread apart everything would have been in this old city. These are the concrete houses on the eastern side. Yeah, this is just dystopic. This looks something out of a post-apocalyptic movie, but it's real. So at the time these houses were constructed, the concept of concrete housing was a very new idea. And obviously, it didn't exactly stick. There were many problems with the concept, such as the fact that the homes became wet and drafty, meaning they were very, very cold during the wintertime. And the concrete also made installing a sewer system for the outhouses almost impossible, as all of these houses were pretty much made in one day. Yeah, so these would have been the basements. Wow. This one's in less ruin than the other one. Oh, you can really see down in this one. Some cool graffiti. Some is cooler than others. And there's literally just a hole in this wall. I wonder what this room would have been. Wow. So I'm thinking this would have been the front door. That would be a window. And let's go up the stairs to the second floor of one of these homes. Now, due to all the problems that emerged from concrete housing, the city did not last very long. By 1924, just 13 years after the homes were originally built, Concrete City was completely abandoned. It was then taken over by the Glen Alden Coal Company, who tried to demolish the homes, but gave up after 100 sticks of dynamite didn't even significantly damage a single one of them. Oh, is there a third? Oh, okay. There's stairs here. I'm like, was there a third story? But basically, every single one of the 22 homes still stands today. So although most things are easier to destroy than build, Concrete City has proved to be an anomaly and the opposite. All 22 of these homes were built in just one day. And for 100 years, people have tried to destroy them, yet all of their efforts have been in vain. Oh, this graffiti art on the side of the buildings actually, that's very impressive. Oh, this guy in there too. This is so eerie. Imagine what Centralia would have looked like today if none of the homes were actually demolished, if they were all just left to be abandoned like this. But leave a like if you've been enjoying these abandoned small towns. Let me know in the comments any other cities or towns that you want me to investigate. And I will see you all in around a week for my next adventure. Boom.